Hare Krishna, good morning dear devotees from Sridham Mayapur. This is our daily discussions in Srimad Bhagavatam. And today we're going to go on a special journey to a very special place, with a very special person, on a very special order. Today we're going to speak about Uddhava's journey to Vrindavan and the process of entering the Lord's abode. So we'll first offer a few prayers. Gora Graganya Gana Gocha Goloruharam Goranga Gudatama Gopyada Kopa Briksham Gopala Gada Ratidam Yati Singha Gora Govinda Deshikavaram Satatam Mami Narayanam Namaskrityam Naramschaivanarottamam Devyam Saraswatyam Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraya Vedi Ramayaneshchaiva Purane Bharate Tata Adavante Chanadyecha Hari Sarvatra Giyate Mukham Karoti Vachalam Pangum Mangayate Girim Yakripa Tamaham Bande Shigurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Paramananda He Madhava Padunga Luchi Makaranda Se Makaranda Panakori Anande Bolo Hari Hari Harinka Name Vandavela Parikodi Ve Chakadola Se Chakadolanka Paraye Manamo Rahu Nirantare Manamo Nirantare Rahu Krishna Boli Jiva Jao Krishna Boli Jao Jiva Mote Udara Radha Dava Mote Udara Radha Dava Mote Udara Radha Dava Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
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 Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Good morning, dear devotees. Nice to see Kalasambara and Shanti and Uddhava Rasagya Mataji and Antaryami Prabhu, an old friend, and the devotees here. So today is our 34th episode in what we're calling Meeting in Kurukshetra. And we have a very wonderful topic in front of us today. We want to go on a journey with a special person to a special place. And the topic is Uddhava's journey to Vraja. And we want to speak something about the process of entering into the dham. So in our last sessions we spoke something about the special qualities of Uddhava and how the 11th canto of the Bhagavatam, Krishna says, Vasudevo Bhagavatam Tvam Tu Bhagavate Shaham. Among all those persons who are entitled to have the title Bhagavan, I'm Vasudev. Yeah? And he says, you Uddhava represent me amongst the devotees. So Krishna says that amongst God, this is me. And amongst the devotees, Uddhava is the best. And there are many statements we cited about that. Also in the 11th canto, Krishna tells Uddhava, Natata me priyatama, atma yonina shankara, nasha shankarshanona shrinavatmachayata bhavan. That my dear Uddhava, you're so dear to me. Atma Yonir, who's Lord Brahma, was born from myself. He's not so dear. In the Sankarshan, Lord Balaram's not so dear to me. Excuse me, Lord Shiva's not so dear. The Sankarshan, Sankarshan means Lord Balaram. Lord Balaram's not so dear. And the Sri Lakshmi Devi is not so dear. Naivatma, I myself am not so dear as you are. So today we'll read a verse from the 46th chapter of the 10th canto, which describes, this chapter describes about Uddhava entering into Vrindavan. In the 6th verse, Krishna tells Uddhava, Darayanjati Kurukshetra praya pranan katanchana pratyagamana sandeshar balavyo me madatmakai. That because I promised to return to them. Pratyagamana. Agamana means a journey. Agamana means to return. Pratyagamana. Previously I promised them Sandesh. I made this promise that I'm going to return to them. And it was because of this promise that the gopis of Vrindavan, Balavya means those cowherd ladies, that they've been able to stay alive in separation from me. So in his purport, Srila Jiva Goswami in Laghu Vaishnava Toshini, he says that Krishna was afraid that the gopis would give up their lives because of maintaining their lives with great difficulty. And so he sent many messages to Vrindavan telling them, I'm thinking of you, I'm going to return. He spoke this, he sent a message just before he left Vrindavan saying, Ayasya, Ayasya, I'm going to return. And Krishna's telling Uddhava, Jiva Goswami says that when the gopis were meditating on Krishna's return, then after some time, seeing Krishna hasn't returned, they fainted, thinking that, oh, maybe there's going to be some delay. They fainted just on that accord. And then again, they would remember my promise. And then again, they would regain consciousness. But then again, they would see I'm not there. And maybe he's going to be late. Never mind, maybe he's not going to return. They can't even think that. The gopis would again fall unconscious. And Jiva Goswami says that Krishna is speaking that the gopis are maintaining their lives in this way by meditating on me, and then fainting, and then remembering that I'm going to return, and then going back and forth, just like a roller coaster, which goes very slow when you're going up, and then very, very fast when you go down. And so the gopis' hearts are like a roller coaster, going up and going down, or as Srila Rupa Goswami describes their hearts in Lalita Madhav, they're like the ocean waves which are rising and then crashing, and then rising very big with great hope, and then crashing again, feeling utter despair. So Krishna then speaks to Uddhava, and he tells Uddhava that when you go, you have to understand who you're going to speak to. And we've, in our last few sessions, we've been saying something about that, the importance of what it means to be the representative of Krishna. We'll continue that a little bit, and then I want to go on to our next topic, which is Uddhava's entering into Vrindavan. So Jiva Goswami says that Krishna tells Uddhava there are 3 types of prem in Braj. Very interesting thing is in his Laghu Vaishnava Toshini. I haven't seen this anywhere else. He says there's Utkanta Pradhan. Utkanta Pradhan, Utkanta means the throat. And Utkanta means something really coming to your throat. It means with great eagerness, great intensity. That's prema that predominates pradhan with this great longing. And that utkanta pradhan prema, that's possessed, Jiva Goswami says, by Krishna's parents and by the gopis of Braj. And then there's Vishramba pradhan. Vishramba pradhan means, we've been speaking about this word Vishramba quite a bit lately. Vishramba means respect. But Vishramba means also oneness or familiarity. So Vishramba pradhan prema means that love which is predominated by a sense of familiarity, like the cowherd boys. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, in his Krishna Bhavanamrita, he describes how once Sridhama came in front of Krishna. Sridhama had his arms folded like this across his chest. And Sridhama said, Krishna, you think you're a big man, don't you? You're so proud. Huh? You're going to try to tell us you killed Putana when you were a baby. We've heard the Brahmins chanted mantras, and that's why Putana died. It wasn't you. Huh? And don't try to tell us that you killed Agasur. We were also there. It was because of us. And don't try to tell us you held up that mountain for so many days. We were also there. We saw all the cowherd men were holding it up with their sticks. And besides that, Giriraj was so ecstatic that he was just floating because we fed him so much. Right? And now you're trying to say you're a big man. But now, you may have killed a few insignificant little demons by accident or something. But now, Sri Dhamma is standing in front of you. And unless you want to get hurt, you better run really fast because I'm going to beat you. And they have a fight. And sometimes Sri Dhamma wins. So this is Vishramba Pradhan Prema. Love which is characterized by this great intimacy. Sometimes the boys, they ride on Krishna's shoulders. Sometimes they make fun of him. It's very beautiful. And the third type of prema in Gokul is Viveka Shunya. Vivek means to consider, and Shunya means without. Viveka Shunya is prema without any discrimination, and that's the love the cows have. They don't have a particular type of mood. They just love Krishna like anything. So, I'm going to jump ahead a little bit in our discussion. In the Vrindavan Lilamrita by Nanda Kishore Goswami, give him the Vrindavan. We'll sing a few verses of this. He describes Krishna's mood. Krishna started speaking about the Brijbasis. So today's topic is Uddhava's entry into Vrindavan. But every journey begins with desire. You don't, unless you're kidnapped. And someone forcibly takes you someplace, but then you're not really there because you don't want to be there, right? So every journey begins with desire. If you want to go to Purushottam Kshetra, to Jagannath Puri Dham, or Mayapur, or Vrindavan, and you're living in the West or someplace, it begins, oh, I really, really want to go there. And then by cultivating that desire, then, Prabhupada said the thinking and feeling, and some feeling is there, and then some thinking comes. How can I accomplish it? How can I collect enough money to go there? How will I go about that? So in a similar way, Krishna is speaking to Uddhava. And what happens to Krishna when he starts speaking to Uddhava about Vrindavan? Kahite, kahite, Krishna prema ukalila, Brajera rahasya lila uripana hoila bolo. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Kahite, kahite, Krishna prema utkala. Thinking and talking about Vrindavan. Krishna prema utkalila, that praying, that love for Braj and the residence there rose in his heart. Brajada rahasya lila uripano hoila. And then at that time, the rahasya lila, the very confidential pastimes of Braj, udipana hoila, it began to open up. Krishna was reminded of that thing. And then Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who's Aptakam and Atmaram, who's completely self-satisfied, he started crying like a baby. And what did he say? Kotananda Pita Brajeshwari Sakagan, Kota Denu Vatsa Shaba Kota Brajajan Bolo. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. He said, Kotai Nanda Pita, where is my father? Brajeshwari Sakagan, where is the Queen of Vrindavan, my mother? Sakagan, where are my friends? Kota Denu Vatsa. Another meaning of Sakagan also is Sakigan. Where are the gopis of Braj? But he's saying a little confidentially. Kota Denu Vatsa. Where are all the cows and calves? Kota Brajajan. Where are all the people of Braj? Kota Priya Kanta Gana Deki Tena Pai. Kotaya Rahile Mora Praneshwari Loy Volo. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare. Kota Priya Kanta Gana. Where are my dearly beloved gopis in Vrindavan? Dekite Napai, I can't see them anymore. Kotai Rahila Mora Praneshwari. Where is the life of my life? Shrimati Radharani. Eteka Kahite Krishna Murcharpana Hoila Uddhava Uttana Shidra Kolite Korila Bolo.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram.
Eteka Kahite Krishna. At that time, Krishna Murcharpana Hoila. What does Murcha mean? Krishna fainted. He fell down on the ground unconscious. And then Uddhava Uttana Shigra, Uddhava very quickly, Shigra, picked Krishna up and put him on his lap. Stamba Sveda Kampa Ashupula Kavaivanya Nanamata Bhave Krishna Anga Hoila Purna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Hare. At that time, Stamba Sveda Kampa Ashupula Kavaivanya, all the ecstatic symptoms came to the body of Krishna. He became stunned. So he started sweating. Tears are coming from his eyes. The color of his body changed. Nana Mata Bhavi Krishna Ango Helipun. In this way, Krishna fell under the spell. And indirectly, this is also indicating something else. The end of our katha, which is Gauranga Mahaprabhu. That when Krishna meditates on the love of the Brij Basis, then all these ecstasies come to him. Deki Uddhava Mane Vishmoya Haila Nana Jatna Kodi Krishna Gaya Karayula Bolo.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram.
Deki Uddhava Mane, when Uddhava saw this Vishmoya Haila, he became very, very astonished. He's seen God. He knows God. He sees Bhagavan living in Mathura, but he doesn't know this. He's never seen the Supreme Personality of Godhead start crying and rolling on the ground and becoming stunned in ecstasy. Uddhava was astonished. Nana Jatna Kori Krishna Dharya Kori. With great care then, he begins to pacify Krishna. Sukadeva Goswami describes in the 7th verse of this 46th chapter, Ityukta Uddhava Rajan Sandesham Bharta Advita Adaya Rattam Arhuya Prayayo Nanda Gokulam. Then addressed in this way by Krishna, Uddhava, with great respect, Bhartu means with great respect. He accepted, Bhartu means a master, Advita means respect. Bhartu Advita, with respect to this instruction from his master, Uddhava accepted this, and he got on the chariot for Gokul. And Jiva Goswami and Laghu Vaishnava Toshin, he says that this word Bhartu indicates that someone who carries, indicates that Uddhava was carrying this bhakti. He was carrying the bhakti of Krishna. Again, this is what it means to be Krishna's representative. He was carrying, he became filled, he says, with a similar bhav to Krishna. So he got in this chariot so he could go very, very quickly. Shigra. And he went to the Gokul of Nanda Maharaj. And Nanda Kishore Goswami, he sings about this in his Vrindavan Lilamrita. We'll be singing a little bit from today. Krishna then begins to tell Uddhava how to go to Vrindavan. So many people want to go to Vrindavan. They've heard about it. Once I was sitting in the internet cafe, because I sit in front of the computer all day, that's my dharma, that's why my back is so bad. I was sitting in the internet cafe in Vrindavan. That's a terrible thing to do when you're in Vrindavan. You should be out doing kirtan or hearing Krishna Katha. I was sitting in the internet cafe at the Krishna Balaram Mandir, and some strange person walked in, and I looked at him, and I thought to myself, this guy really doesn't belong here. He was dressed in Western clothes and didn't look like a devotee at all. There's no kunti mala, no tilak or anything. And so I'm a little curious. Sits down next to me on the computer and he's typing away, and I'm kind of looking over his shoulder and it's nothing devotional whatsoever. And finally, I said, hey, where are you from, man? Oh, I'm from Chicago. I said, really? You know, I was also born in Illinois. What are you doing here? He said, well, you know, I am going to the University of Chicago, and I'm studying music. And so I got a scholarship or something to come to India to study music. And I was in Delhi studying music, and someone told me that I should go to a place called Vrindavan. And so I said, how do I get there? What is that? I said, well, just get on a bus and go. So I just got off the bus. And I don't know what this place is. Someone told me I should come here. And I said, wow. I said, do you have any plan for today? He said, no, I'm just here. I said, why don't you come with me? And I just canceled all my plans that day. And I took him to so many different Keshigat and Bamsivat and Gopishwar Mahadev and different temples in Vrindavan. We spent the whole day together. And it was just such an amazing thing to me because it's like Krishna's picked him up and dropped him in Vrindavan in my lap. And I thought, what a wonderful service I can do to take him around in Vrindavan. So entering Vrindavan is not such an easy thing. We think, oh, it's very difficult now to travel because the coronavirus thing is there. Maybe you have to have some vaccination before you can travel. And besides that, you have to have a passport, you have to have a visa. Now India's not granting anyone a visa. It's really complicated. But if you think those are the real things that you need to enter the dham, then Bhaktivinoda Thakur would say you're a bahirmukh jan. You're an external person. We should become antarmukh and understand that entering the dham is not just a matter of getting some vaccination, getting a passport, getting a visa. As Sachinanda Maharaj would tell us sometimes that to enter anywhere you require a passport and a visa. And what is the passport? Identifies you with your country. That I am from Brazil, I am from Russia, I am from Australia, I'm from this place or that place. I belong there. So what is your passport? Our passport is our Gurudev. That's our passport because we can't enter the dham without our Gurudev. But even if you have a passport, you still can't enter the dham. Something else is required. And today, 2 other things are required. The other thing that's required is you have to have a visa. You may have a passport, but no visa, they won't let you in. What is the visa? In this case, the visa is hearing and chanting about Krishna. Without that hearing and chanting, you can't enter into the dham. As Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, you might be on top of the dham, but you won't enter into the dham. So that hearing and chanting is our visa. And today, a 3rd thing is required now, or maybe anyway, you have to get a vaccination. And what is that vaccination? You have to get vaccinated in the holy name. You have to chant very seriously so that you don't bring any disease with you. That's the problem. That's why people don't want you to enter their country unless you have a vaccination, because you may bring the disease with you. So don't bring your disease with you into the holy dham. So Krishna, he tells Uddhava, Suno bai tumi nandishvara giri jave Vakapate kamana korite duka pabe bolo Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Rama. He says, Suno bai. Oh, listen very carefully, my dear brother, speaking in a very sweet way. Tumi nandishvara giri jave. You're going to go to the mountain known as Nandishwar. So first place he tells him to go to. He says, Vakrapati gamana korite duka pabe. Now one thing he tells him, he says, if you go on Vakrapati, what is Vakrapati? Vakra means crooked. If you have a Vakra, they say here, Vakrapati. If your path is crooked, then you're going to have a hard time. Korite dukkha pabe. It's going to be hard for you. You have to become simple. And because Krishna's crooked. He's crooked in 3 places. But the gopis are very simple. The residents of Vrindavan, they're very simple. So why is, thank you Krishna Kron, that's great. Why is Krishna telling Uddhava, don't go on a crooked path? Because if you want to enter Vrindavan, you can't enter into there with some duplicity, with some crookedness. If we want to enter into the dham, we have to be very, very simple. What is that simplicity? Saralata hi Vaishnava, that simplicity which is the quality of a Vaishnava. That Saralata, that simplicity is our simplicity of desire. I've seen, you've seen many people come to Mayapur because I want to get a wife, I want to get a husband, and I've heard there's lots of beautiful girls, lots of hunky guys who come to Mayapur. Isn't it fact? I'm telling the truth. Or they come because Mayapur it has defeated Italy. Now Mayapur is the pizza capital of the world. Other people come to Mayapur for that purpose. Thank you so much. Oh, I already took that. Yeah, give it to somebody else. I'm sorry. I didn't give you hot water. She can give me some hot water. She's being really nice.
Okay, what do I do?
Give it to Anapayani. She can drink it or somebody. It's good medicine. It's medicine. It doesn't taste bad. It's okay. So if we want to enter the dham, we have to be very, very simple. Hare Krishna, Sasha. Nice to see you. Sasha's going to the dham with us, and a few of us are going to the dham. So today's topic is Uddhava's journey to Vrindavan and how we enter into the dham. So Krishna's telling Uddhava that Vakrapati Gamana Koriti Dukapadi, that if you try to go on a crooked path, you're not going to be able to enter into the dham. You'll be on top of the dham, but you won't be inside of the dham. And then Krishna goes on to tell Uddhava, Ataiva atidura pata shobhavan pacharupi kahi baje korite prayan bolo. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram. Ataiva atidura pata shobhavan. This place is very distant place. It's not so distant, come on. Even if you walk from Mathura, it's only a few hours away. No. It's a very distant place. It's a very distant place in the geography of the heart. So Krishna tells Uddhava this thing. This is a very, very distant place. You're so nice. Thank you. So Patyarupi Kahiba Je Korite Prayan. I'll tell you, Uddhava, I'll tell you the secret. How you can go to this place very easily. Complicated. Shepate Gokulam Nanda Samudra Majade Tumi Gele Ami Shiki Hari Behamtare Bolo.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram.
So the first thing he does, he says, you do this. Sepati Gokulam, you go to Gokul. But now it's not the path, the pata is not just Gokul. Sepati Gokulam Nanda. Samudra Majare. You go first to the place of Nanda Maharaj. And this is Krishna's instruction. Why? Because Nanda Maharaj, he's in charge. He's a manager. It's the first thing you have to do. You have to get past customs. You have to go along with the government. You have to approach the managers. Managers are important. I was having a beautiful discussion with Prabhupada's disciple who came to Bhubaneswar before. Tejas Prabhu, thank you. I read something he wrote on Facebook and I really liked it, but then it got lost. And I contacted him and asked him to send it to me. And it was some remembrances he had of Srila Prabhupada. Once he was complaining about some leader who had done some, due to his fault, the crops had been ruined in some place. They were growing some. Tejas Prabhu was very expert in self-sufficiency and community living. And he told Prabhupada, he said, Prabhupada, this devotee, he lost, he messed up and all the crops are ruined. And Prabhupada became annoyed with him. And Prabhupada told him, this is not a bureaucracy. It's not he, it's we. So when people speak about, those leaders, those GBC, are they Jiva souls also? Aren't they people like you and I? And they have some make mistakes, just like I also make mistakes sometimes. You can ask my wife. We also make mistakes. We also have good qualities and bad qualities, some sincerity. We're mixed persons. They also do. Isn't it impersonal to just speak about them like that? Just like you speak about all those people from Brazil. Very bad people in Brazil. Not as bad as the Russians. The Russians, so bad, and especially people from St. Petersburg. They're the worst. Doesn't it hurt your heart if you're treated like that? You're not a person. You're just a thing. You just belong to some place. How terrible is it? I don't like it when people say, oh, all the ISKCON devotees. Excuse me, I'm not an ISKCON devotee. I'm a human being. I'm a person. And I also happen to belong to a particular Seva Sangha. But I'm an individual, and I want to keep that, and I would appreciate it, thank you, if you would treat me like that. So, this is the first thing Krishna's telling Uddhava, that you go to the man in charge, Nanda Maharaj, because he has all the connections. He can make arrangements. He's in charge. He's going to grant you entry. And he says, Tumi gele ami shuki hoibe antare. If you do that, then I'm going to become very, very happy, Uddhava. This is how we enter Vrindavan. I see so many people, they come because they want to get one of those famous t-shirts that says, I left mine, there's a big picture of a heart. I left my heart in Vrindavan. And so they can share all their pictures on WhatsApp and I don't know what else, Facebook and Instagram and all those kind of things like that to show that I was there. The amazing thing is, for so many of them, they never enter in the first place. And they are never there. Their camera is there. Their recording device is there. They're thinking that later on when I go home, my friends will see this and it'll be really cool. I took a selfie in front of the temple. But they're not really there with their consciousness. So we go to Vrindavan on the order of Guru and Krishna. Uddhava's visit to Vrindavan indicates to us how we go to the holy dham. I give this example many times, you don't mind me saying, but just like right now, if somebody came running into the room and they're crying and they say, hey Sasha, it's really amazing. Krishna's outside, he wants to talk to you right now. What will you do, Sasha? Are you going to go out there? What are you going to say? Yo, Krishna, how the show? Everything okay? How's the weather in Vrindavan? What are you going to do? If somebody comes to me with some statement like that, oh my God, Krishna wants to see, I'm going to say, I'm sorry, I can't go. But let me get my Guru Maharaj. And I'll put my Guru Maharaj in front of me. And I'll go behind my Gurudev. My Gurudev, he can enter. But I can't enter. If we think I'm going to go to Vrindavan to meet some nice boys or girls or have a good time, it's like a big party and there's lots of entertainment, it's going to be so much fun. You're not entering Vrindavan. Maybe you're entering on top of Vrindavan. You become a tourist. And as people say, there's nothing more ugly in the world than a tourist, especially a tourist from America. Tourists are very ugly people because they're coming just to try to enjoy. And they're not able to understand or enter into that place. So here Krishna's telling Uddhava, Tumi geli ami shuki hoibe antare. If you go to Gokul first, then I'm going to be very happy. Because the first thing I have to do is go to my father, because he's in charge. Even before I go to the gopis. Because Nanda Maharaj, he's in charge, he's my father, I have to. So you go first to him, and then I'll become very happy. Bandugana Suki Hoile, Jaiche Sadhugan, Abanara Suka Kori Korai Manan Balo.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama.
And he says that Bandugana, that friends, Bandugana, your Bandhu, your dear friend, Sukhi hoile jaichi sadhugan, they become happy sadhus become happy when they see their friends are happy. Apanada shuka kori kori manana. They take it as their own happiness. So when we go, and we're not going on our own, but we're going as a representative of Gurudev, because Gurudev says, you go to Vrindavan, you go to Mayapur, you go to Jagannath Puri, and you go to Gachotava Vraja Uddhava. Krishna told Uddhava, you go to Vrindavan, and you bring me there. When we go there, we want to bring our Gurudev with us. In his mood, we want to go there to render service to Gurudev. Srila Rupa Goswami describes Krishna's words in Uddhava Sandesh. Prata Nandishvara Girinito Vayashastaste Viduram Panta Shriman Ayam Akutila Katyate Pacharupa Priyai Sadyastvai Nipatite Gokula Nanda Sindo Santas Tushte Suridi Hinijam Tushtim Evalmananti. Tushtim means some happiness. He says, my dear brother, my dear Bharta, you go to this place which is Viduram, which is very, very far away. Very difficult place. But that path, Panta Shriman, not just the place, but Panta Shriman, the path going there is a very beautiful place. Sometimes we cry, I haven't seen Krishna. At least I don't cry, but Krishna Kum cries. I haven't seen Krishna. I have no love. Why haven't I revealed my Swarup? And we remember the words of Lochandas Thakur at that time, who says that I don't remember the words, that Kevala Anandakanda, that this path is simply full of bliss. Even if you're a gross materialist, you have unlimited material desires, you're a very, very depressed person because, my God, I've been married 5 times and still I want to get married again. Life's really tough. Even though you have so many problems in your life, but still, Kevala Anandakanda. You maybe have a bad odor coming from your mouth because you have so many material desires, so many problems, but still, just following this bhakti patta, this pathway of bhakti, is such a wonderful, happy, joyous path. So he's saying that Panta Shriman is so beautiful. He says, Akutila, it's also not a crooked path if you want to go there. He's saying the same. And when you go there, Santa Tushte, he says that Santa Tushte Surida Hirijam Tushtim, that a saintly person, when he sees that their friend is happy, they become happy also. Prabhupada used to quote, Tasmin Tushte Jagat Tushta, that when Krishna is satisfied, the whole world is satisfied. We should satisfy our Gurudev. Don't think we have independence. Don't think it's been really hard distributing books in New York City or this place or that, and now I need a vacation. So I'm going to go to the dham for a vacation. We have no vacations in Krishna consciousness. Somebody once asked, a reporter asked Prabhupada once, he said, do you people ever have like vacations or recreation? And Prabhupada said, Kevala Anandakanda, our whole life is vacation. We wake up in the morning, and at 4 o'clock in the morning, the reporter's like, wake up at 4. Yes, and we start our day by dancing and singing with great happiness. What do you do when you get up in the morning? You have a cup of coffee because you can't face the office. Life is so hard. I got to have a cup of coffee to get me going. But the devotees wake up and excited. I'm going to go see Radha Madhav. We're going to go to Mangalarti. It's such an ecstatic thing. Our life is always a vacation. Nanda Kishore Goswami describes in Vrindavan Lilamrita. Tabe Uddhava Krishna Agya Shiridhari Sekshane Jata Kori Lena Raja Kori Bolo.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Tabi Uddhava Krishna Agya Shiridhari. Agya Siddhidhari. In Orissa, some senior person tells you something. A common reply is say, Agya, Agya. It's kind of like saying, yes, sir. No? Agya means order. Whatever you order me. So Uddhava Krishna Agya Siddhidhari. Siddhi means on the head. He took that order. Krishna Dhari means to carry. He carried that order of Krishna on his head. And this is how he entered Vrindavan. This is how he started going. And Sheikh Shani Jatra Koile in Vraja. Very quickly then, he started off immediately at that moment for Vrindavan. Prabhuda Sandesha Bharta Koriya Grahan Vrajapati Gamane Achanta Twaraman Bolo
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
So taking this Sandesh, Prabhuda Sandesh. What is a Prabhuda Sandesh? It's a Sandesh of the message from that Prabhu, a Supreme Prabhu, Krishna. Taking that Koriya Grahana, he carrying that thing, he very quickly, Brajapati went to Vrindavan, Brajapati Gamane, he walked very quickly to reach the king of Braj. Krishnera Prasada Vastra Alankara Kori Swara Reke Ara Lila Paramana Chari
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare.
Okay, I'm going to say something a little controversial. You don't have to accept this or not, but this is my personal interpretation here. Krishnara Prasad Vastra Alankara Pari. Then when Uddhava went there, he didn't put on a suit and tie. He didn't wear some Levi's jeans or whatever, but Krishnara Prasad Vastra. He took Krishna's prasad cloth. The cloth of Krishna. And the Alankara Pari, the prasad Alankara, the ornaments of Krishna, these are, we also have this prasad cloth. And the brahmachari, before they enter the brahmachari ashram traditionally, or sannyas ashram, in the sannyas ashram, the guru gives the kopans to the sannyas candidate. He gives that cloth and they become dandadari, carry the danda. He gives them that danda, that dress. Some of the brahmachari cloth is given by Gurudev. And we also accept whatever cloth, our grihastha cloth, meaning Gurudev, please give me permission to enter grihastha ashram. I accept that cloth from Gurudev. And wearing that cloth, wearing those ornaments, meaning that I'm a marked person. Why is it that ladies wear these red and white bracelets? Sasha, let me see your wrist. Uh-oh, you're not good for West Bengal. Okay, Krishna comes good. On a pioneer, you should wear some kind of bracelet.
I wear.
Oh, you have something? Okay, good for you. But the unmarried ladies, they wear normal bracelets because every lady should wear some bracelet, because if you don't wear a bracelet, it means your father or your brothers don't love you. And that's sad. It means no man's taking care of you and you're up for grabs. Hare Krishna. And the married ladies, they wear red and white bracelets. That indicates that I have a background. I belong to someone. This Kunti Mala indicates, Prabhupada used to say, this is my dog collar. I'm the dog of my Gurudev. And this cloth, we wear this. And Prabhupada also said, you can wear a suit and tie, it's okay. Just wear tilak. This tilak especially indicates that I belong to my Gurudev. Some devotees, they like to wear Radhakund tilak. Why not? No, that's very nice. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, one time, it said he put on Radhakund tilak. And some devotees do that many times because of that. But we only hear about him doing it one time. But because he's coming in the line of Madhvacharya, it means he must have been wearing that Gopi Chandan tilak, which Madhvacharya discovered. That's the tilak of our line. And what is significant about that? I used to wear Radhakund tilak. I asked my Guru Maharaj, can I wear Radhakund tilak? I thought it was really cool. Guru Maharaj said, yes, why not? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did. But after some time, I stopped. Why? Because I want to wear the tilak of my Gurudev. I want to mark myself that I belong to him. Because different tilak means different lines, different paribars. And I belong to a particular paribar, of my Gurudev. My Gurudev, my Param Gurudev, my Para Gurudev. My Guru Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, they wore this Gopi Chandan tilak. And I wear it to indicate I belong to them. So, in the same way, Kurukshetra Prasad Vastra Alankara Pari Shana Reiki Arohila Pranama Achari. Uddhava Pranam, he offered his pranam to Krishna before he went. Took Krishna's asirvad, his blessing, in the form of that cloth and those ornaments. Now, I'm not just coming on my own independently, but I'm a marked person. The word sanskar. Sanskar is a reformatory, a purificatory act. But sanskar also literally means samskar. It means someone who's marked. We may say, wow, that's some scar you got there on your arm. Well, you know, I fell off my bicycle, I cut my arm, right? That's some scar you got there. The word samskar means the same thing. It means you're marked. I'm marked by my Gurudev. And when I enter into the dham, I'm wearing this thing. Because Uddhava is coming with a message from Krishna. He's wearing Krishna's prasad cloth to indicate to the gopis, as we'll hear in our next session, that this person is coming on behalf of Krishna. Tatas Jiva Goswami now in Gopal Champu, he says that Sri Krishna Pashyam, Uddhava looked at Krishna at that time, and Stamba Vashya Savindriya. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, please come in. You must be Brajendra Kumar Prabhu. It's very appropriate. You're staying in the house of Brajendra Nandan. Brajendra Kumar in the house of Brajendra Nandan. It's very appropriate. I hope Sasha's being nice to you. We'll have some talk with her later. Okay. So at that time, Uddhava looked at Krishna with so much love. Now he has to leave Krishna. But he's not leaving Krishna. He's carrying Krishna's message. Sometimes devotees, they feel very sad. Oh, Gurudev is going. He's going to go to America. I'm here in India. Don't think in such a sense gratificatory way that Gurudev exists just for my pleasure. That's the attitude of the Sneha Silita Sishya, who's a Bahirmukh disciple, who's just living for the sense gratification to try to enjoy Gurudev. But our purpose, we belong to Gurudev. And Gurudev can use us however he wants. And here, Krishna's telling Uddhava, Gachotava Vraja Uddhava. You go to Braj, Uddhava. And Uddhava then, Krishna Pashan Stamba, Uddhava becomes stunned in ecstasy, not just because he's feeling sad, I have to leave Krishna, but he's carrying a heavy load. A very heavy load of Krishna's bhav, Krishna's mood. And then Jiva Goswami says that Puram anu sade sobha brajamanu madhurya dham atat prem naha Uddhavam ubayam akarshat kintu prasabam tad uttaram jitavat. That Uddhava, there was some confusion at that time because Uddhava was carrying different things. He was carrying the opulence of Mathura. But he was also carrying Brajam Anu Madhurya Dham. He's following the sweetness. This is the path Krishna told him to go on. The path of the sweetness of Braj. And that thing was attracting Uddhava. Uddhavam Ubaya Akarsha. Akarsha means to attract. That praying was attracting Uddhava. Because this is again how we enter the Dham. On the order of Gurudev, with the dress of Gurudev, with the permission of Gurudev. And after hearing from Gurudev and imbibing his mood and understanding what Vrindavan is, what Mayapur is, what Jagannath Puri is. Srila Prabhupada says we don't see the Dham with our eyes, we see it with our ears. So we hear from Gurudev and then we can understand something about it. But Jiva Goswami says there's this tug of war then in Uddhava. He knows Mathura and he knows Krishna as Mathuresh, the Lord of Mathura. But now he's hearing from Krishna about the sweetness of Vrindavan. And so there's this conflict in his heart. But Prasabam tat uttaram jitavat. The latter won out. The love of Braj won. And Jiva Goswami says at that time, Avalokitam pulakavan abud Uddhava. Uddhava's heirs stood on end in anticipation and he became pulled by the rasa, by the braj of Vrindavan. Jiva Goswami says, Ninye ratastam goshtaya kimva sustu manorata evam vivyade jivatam jitavan prerakasa parampara. He says, Ninye ratastam goshtaya, was it a chariot that took Uddhava to Vrindavan? Was it an airplane that you came here with to India from Russia? Is that how you came? Huh? When you fill out the form, what was the flight number when you arrived? Is that how you came to India? Is that how you came to the dham? Don't be a bahirmukh jana, an external person, and think like that. Ninye ratastam goshtaya kimva sustu manorata, or was it the chariot of the mind? Evam vivade jitavan. In this contest, jitavan, desire, defeated that chariot. Uddhava went on the chariot of the heart. Avrajid Uddhava Krishnad brajam evam jana shuti pati briksham tutam tasya tat sakshat kritam vyadat. Uddhava went, he left Krishna and went to Vrindavan. But Jiva Goswami says that prati briksham, every briksha, every tree that he saw on the way, tata sakshat kritam vyada, he saw Krishna in every tree. Similarly, bahirmukh janas think, oh, I can't be with Gurudev now. Gurudev, he's in a distant place, I'm not here. But you see Gurudev everywhere. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati said, I pray that I may see my Gurudev every year, every month, every week, every day, every hour, every second. I may see him in every person. I may see him in every animal. I may see him in every tree and plant. I may see him in every mountain and every stone. Because if I don't constantly see my Gurudev, then I may fall prey to the bad desire to become guru myself. Oh, I'm not really qualified. I don't really want to do it, of course, but there's nobody else to give initiation, and somebody has to, so gee whiz, I'll go ahead and do it. Isn't it, Prabhu? Devotees, they speak like Jagannath Sutta, wasn't devotees speak like that sometimes? Because I don't see Gurudev. But Uddhava, when he's going on this journey, when we're going on the journey which is ordered by Gurudev, at every step and every tree we see Gurudev, we see his order, and we're associating with him. My Guru Maharaj said that I'm always associating with Srila Prabhupada, but you can't understand, you can't see how it's going on. Idam bhuktam, he would see some phaladinam, he'd see some fruit from the tree that, oh, Krishna ate fruit there. Asitam davad isitu, Krishna sat down here. Itam Vrindavanam Pashyan, seeing this in Vrindavan, Uddhava Sudhava Stita, Uddhava became ecstatic. He didn't say, oh, I have to leave Krishna. I have to go away now. But Uddhava was ecstatic. I'm carrying Krishna with me. Dristi, spisti, sugandhi, bidbir. He says that all the trees there, they were sprinkled with the fragrance of Krishna's touch. All the trees there were sprinkled with the sight of his form. All the trees in Vrindavan were marked with the impression of Krishna's presence. And they were giving their fruits and flowers. As previously, as soon as Uddhava came, they saw, oh, Krishna's coming. In other words, when we go on the road of Gurudev's instruction, you won't go hungry. Just as Uddhava is going to Vrindavan in the trees, they see Uddhava coming. Oh, he's wearing Krishna's cloth. He's coming. Siddhidadi, he's carrying that Agya Siddhidadi, that order of Krishna on his head. I see it. The trees see that. Do you want something to eat? All the demigods, they'll feed you. They'll take care of, always carrying the order of Gurudev on his head. He's a marked person. The birds, when they saw Uddhava, they saw Krishna, and they revealed to Uddhava then a manifestation of Krishna's present pastimes. And the birds all became ecstatic and started flying and singing in a very beautiful way. Jiva Goswami goes on to say, Brajapasyalyam agatam tam udavam harisparan. Gavadi kasya mudbaram tadochitam brajantipat braji gyapat. When Uddhava reached the edge of Braj, at that time Krishna revealed his spurti to the cows. And the cows, they saw Uddhava. They thought, oh, it's like Krishna. And the cows became completely ecstatic. In the Bhagavatam, in the 46th chapter, texts 9 to 13 describe what Vrindavan looked like when Uddhava entered into Vrindavan. Jiva Goswami and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur both comment that these particular verses describe the beauty of Vrindavan. These 5 verses.
Can you repeat the number?
What's that?
Number of these verses.
10:46, 9 to 13. Vasi tarte bayudhyar debir, nadi tum susmi bir visai, davanti bischa vashra bir udo harai svavatsakan. When Uddhava entered into Vrindavan, at that time he could hear the sounds of all the cows. And it's described that the cows were in heat. And the bulls at that time, because the bulls become very lusty when they see the cows are in heat, and they begin fighting amongst themselves. And he could hear the sound of those bulls fighting. That sight of the bulls fighting gives Krishna great pleasure. And the cows, burdened by their udders, they were chasing after their cows to give them milk. And there was a sound of the milking, and the white calves were jumping here and there, and there was a loud sound of flute playing from the cowherd boys, and singing from the gopis and all the residents of Vrindavan. They were all singing about the pastimes of Krishna and Balaram. And all the Brahmins were performing yagyas, they were chanting mantras, there were flocks of wonderful birds and bees, and beautiful lakes of swans and ducks, and so many lotus flowers. Archaisha described that although Gokul was merged with suffering because of separation from Krishna, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur describes, and we spoke on this purport, long purport previously, that there are 2 chambers of Vrindavan. There's a chamber of union and the chamber of separation. Krishna returned to Vrindavan with Nanda Maharaj to the chamber of union. And there's Nitya Sambhog. There's always union. In Vrindavana Paritaga Padigamna Gachati. Krishna doesn't even take one step out of Vrindavan. He's always there. That's the chamber of union. And Uddhava at this time, Vishnu says, entered that chamber of union, and Krishna showed him how beautiful Vrindavan was. At that time, Uddhava, Jiva Goswami says, and I want to finish with these points. It's such a beautiful description he gives in Gopal Champu. What Uddhava saw when he arrived in Vrindavan. Yam kalu samudram eva mahagoshata labda pracharam. He saw the tumultuous shouts of all the cowherd people. It was like the roar of the ocean. And the cowherd people themselves were like an ocean. Chandram eva labda gav adabra subrata vishtaram. The cows in Vrindavan were so white they were like the moon. And Vrindavan itself shone like the moon. Ambaramiva, and Ambaramiva diditi balani bir avitata subakaram. Just as the sky appears bright when the sun's rays begin to spread, Braj was also bright, like the sky with the rays of the sun. Karma kandamiva Krishna tat paratasara vanya katiti govi prapuja sangraha kagaram. Just as the moon and the sun and the guests and cows and Brahmins are worshipped in everybody's house by the process of karma kanda, every grihastha, they worship the sun, the moon, the guests when they come, the atiti, the cows and the Brahmins. So they worship them through karma kanda. And this way they take support of Krishna to do it. So similarly, in all the houses of Braj, all these different items were worshipped for the pleasure of Krishna. Just as Love and Kush, they attracted everyone's heart by singing the songs filled with feeling and other rasas in the Ramayana. So similarly, the auspicious cowherd people of Braj attracted everyone with their songs filled with rasa about Krishna. Shri Bhagavatam eva krita gopika gita pracharam. Just as the Bhagavatam describes the song of the gopis, Uddhava heard the gopis singing, spread throughout Braj. Muraryam eva murali yamanata susrava swara saram. Swara means of music. Just as Krishna plays beautiful music on the flute, Braj was filled with the sound of the flute. And the sound of all the milking of the cows entered everywhere. At that time, Gorini Bischana, Vatasa Uddhavo, Brajam Vivesanya, Janai Alakshita, Pratyan Mahidram Cha Ravistada Visad, Distantam Kartum Ivecha Atmana. At that time, Uddhava's chariot entered into Vrindavan, and it was covered with dust from the cows. Very, very auspicious. This is a Manorata of Uddhava. He's entering into Vrindavan, not in the chariot, but in the chariot of the heart, the chariot of the mind. And that chariot is covered with the dust of the cows. Unseen, unnoticed by anyone else, Brajam, Vivesanyam Janai Alakshita. No one noticed Braj. No one noticed Uddhava. And at that time, the sun, wanting to set an example of himself, he sat behind the mountain. Krishna Rasa Leela Guna Bhavite Bhavite Nanda Braje Adamana Korila Tvarite Bolo.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare.
This way, this is how Bhavite, with so much feeling, Nanda Braje Agam and Korila Tvarite, that Uddhava entered into Vrindavan, thinking about Krishna Rasa Leela Gunam, the qualities and pastimes of Krishna. This is how Uddhava entered into Vrindavan. This is how we should enter the Dham. By remembering the pastimes, we can enter the Dham. So I'll give one last statement from Gopal Champu. I know we've gone a little late. I wanted to finish this section. Ataratam Raja Patta Krita Nirdarha Brajeshwara Dwara Paryantam Samirya. Going along that road, Uddhava, he came, that Raja Pat, the path of the king of Braj, Nanda Maharaj. He came to Nanda Maharaj. He brought that chariot there. He got off, and then he sat down in front of Nanda Maharaj's house, along with his servant, the chariot driver. So this is how Uddhava entered into Vrindavan. Not with a ticket on an airplane, not on a chariot, but a Manorata, on the chariot of the heart, sent by Krishna, meditating on Krishna. This is the process by which we enter into the Dham. As the servant, the representative of our Gurudev, carrying his message in our heart. And then we'll see him everywhere, and we'll always be taken care of, just as Uddhava was taken care of. So I'll stop there. We've gone a little late, I'm sorry. There's a lot of devotees online. Let me just offer my pranams to everybody. There's Lisa. Oh, Madhupati Prabhu, my pranams. From Manishta. Madhupati Prabhu is watching from Budapest, I think, at least from Hungary somewhere. Zeke Prabhu is there. Neela Fair. Mahendra Prabhu, my pranams. Brajarani, Adi Sham, Brinda Sundari, my pranams. Suren. Natalia in Estonia, Hare Krishna. Jagannath Das Nrsinga Prasad Mahapatra, my pranams. Radhika Raman, my pranams. Yadu. Oh, Sol Marquez, Sachitanoi Prabhu, my pranams. We're missing you, Prabhuji. Every day we go past your place and we think about you. Kalasamvara Prabhu, my pranams. Nice to see you here, Prabhuji. Shanti. Ujjvala Rasiga Mataji. So let's go back down here. Madhupati Prabhu asks a question: is it sense gratification, therefore therefore wrong, Hare Krishna Prabhu, to feel separation when Gurudev travels and we miss him? No, we must. We must. But at the same time, we have an order. And that order is a feeling of happiness, so they have that order, but it's a bittersweet feeling. We're also feeling very sad that my Gurudev is not here. But we have to have firm faith that Gurudev is always with me. And I'm going to carry him with me in the form of his instructions. Not that I'm going to leave him. He may be distant in a distant place physically, but Gurudev is always with me by dint of his instructions. And so yes, we miss him very much, but at the same time, we carry him with us. Brenda Sundari, Hare Krishna from Denver, Colorado, where I used to live. She says, thank you for this nourishing katha. If anybody else has any reflection or questions or anything, you can paste them online. Otherwise, we're going to turn to the devotees here in the room. Does anybody have any reflections or anything, Prabhuji? Burjendra Kumar Prabhu. I'm going to turn this mic on for general. You have to speak really loud. And I'm also, let's see here, how do we do this? I'm going to flip over. Did that work? Yeah. There you go. That's Burjendra Kumar Prabhuji. Now you're live on Facebook. So speak loudly, Prabhuji, please.
Thank you so much for this class. Sorry for me.
¿Está bien?
Yes, muy bien. My question is about this, because we was now in Vrindavan 1 year with this period, and I was thinking about this because, for example, my Guru Maharaj, he gave us this instruction to preach, and we was try to charge in this in our heart when we are traveling, and in this way we can have this connection that we are talking with Guru Maharaj. But for example, in Vrindavan, we was so much like really squeezing ourselves because we was in one period that nobody can preach, nobody can make Harinam, and really I lose completely.
Because of the virus, yeah.
Yes.
Lockdown.
And in one point I lose completely my vision of my Guru Maharaj. I was completely blind, even in Vrindavan, because, and this is my question, like, yes, how we can see our Gurudev even when when it's impossible realize his mission, his instruction, because it's so easy lose the way in these moments. No, I tell in my practice life in Vrindavan I was completely blind, suffering so much.
What a beautiful comment. Thank you very much. That's a very, very deep comment. I really appreciate that. Similarly, even if we're in the dham, if we forget the order of our Gurudev, then what is our life? But there's one thing we can do. Srila Prabhupada received an order from his Guru, and he didn't do it. I don't know, I forget how many years, someone can correct me, for 20 years or something, but he always meditated on that Guru, on that order. So we should also, even if we can't fulfill the order of Gurudev, we can associate with him by always meditating on that order of Gurudev. I met my Guru Maharaj once. I contacted him. I said, Guru Maharaj, the magazine is ready. And we had a magazine for Vraja. It was about Krishna as the supreme thief. I said, but I'm not sure what to do. I want to go to Vrindavan and distribute this, but I also want to bring it to you and give you. But there's only a few days left of Kartik. And if I go to Vrindavan first, then we'll be able to sell it, but then I won't be able to give it to you. And Guru Maharaj said, no, you go to Vrindavan. And he said, you're going to Vrindavan for service. And those words ring in my heart. You're going to Vrindavan for service. And he said, you stay there for that service, but don't stay too long. When the service is finished, then you go. And I always feel like that. When I go to the dham, I want to go for service. Okay? Anybody else with any reflections, Prabhuji? Let me just fix the microphone and the camera. Let's see here.
Prabhuji,
Speak really loud if you can.
when you are saying that Gurudev means only initiating spiritual master or the instructive spiritual masters also? Because many times the initiating spiritual masters have many disciples here in this. So therefore the instructing spiritual master, we feel more close in a way.
My Guru Maharaj was once asked a similar question. He said, who is more important, the Diksha Guru or the Siksha Guru? And he gave such a beautiful answer. He said, whoever occupies your heart. So whoever occupies our heart, we take that order, his order to go to the dham, and we carry him with us. It may be the Siksha Guru, it may be the Diksha Guru. Anybody else here with anything?
Well, maybe I really like the story you mentioned about the person from Chicago that came to Vrindavan. I think I heard the full story from you. That would be really nice if you could tell how it happened.
Well, there's two stories.
Okay.
Maybe you're mixing another. I got a phone call one day from the same kind of thing, from someone in calling me and said, I came to Vrindavan. I came to the West and someone told me to go to Vrindavan. First person, actually, I don't think he was studying music. I mixed it with this other story.
Okay.
He said, I came to study music. Someone told me to go to Vrindavan. And I came to Vrindavan. And there's this thing called 24-hour kirtan, and there's this devotee named Ayendra, and oh my God, it's the most amazing music I've ever seen. And it was amazing. And then this Ayendra told me that I should go to Mayapur, because Mayapur is a place of kirtan. And so I went to Mayapur, and wow, they're doing all this kirtan, it's really amazing. And then someone told me, now I have to go to Jagannath Puri and meet someone named Madhavananda, and they gave me your phone number, so I'm calling you up, and can I come to Puri? I said, yeah. So we came to Puri, we spent a few days going around Puri. And then I told him, I said, I'm going to Govardhan in a few days, and would you like to come with me? And he said, yeah. So we went to Govardhan together. We arrived in Govardhan literally about 6 hours, 8 hours before his flight was leaving from Delhi. And it was already getting dark. And he'd never been to Govardhan before. And I took him to Govardhan Hill. And I said, so we're here for this retreat with Sachinanda Maharaj, who unfortunately I didn't get to introduce him to, or Vraja Prabhu. I said, but I have someone else I want to introduce you to. It's a mountain. And his name is Giriraj. And we went out by Giriraj, and I said, I just want to stand here. And let's not talk. Let's just stand here and feel the presence of Giriraj and listen. And we just stood there and we could hear the birds, some of the monkeys, we could hear kirtan in the distance and some cows mooing. And he started crying. He said, this is so powerful. This is such a powerful place. I can feel this. I said, okay, so take this with you when you go back to America. So that's the end of the story. Okay? So, Prabhuji, you have one other thing?
Like the thing which Tejas Prabhu told you, that
Uh-huh.
it's not about him, them, but it's about we. It's not about he, but it is about the we.
Yes.
And then Prabhupada said that it's not. This is not bureaucracy. So where is that? Is there anyway some some reference in the, or first of all reference, and other thing is that what was the point which you were saying that in regards to individuality and his con devotee, you were saying something points that. Yeah.
Okay.
It struck me, but I could not get it completely. So
Okay.
therefore I'm asking.
The reason why I mentioned that point was because it was mentioned, Krishna was telling Uddhava to go to Nanda Maharaj. You go to the authorities. So in the same way, we should respect the authorities. And this was the point that Prabhupada was making to Tejas Prabhu. And I heard it from Tejas personally. So I'm going to stop there. Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.